vibing on a vibe. 10-4, we smoking my eye. We go 0 to 65, vibing out the way. Get yours, stay alive. Been dope, vibing on a vibe. 10-4, we smoking my eye.
Welcome everybody to the Nikey Joe Show, where we dive into all things. We do a bunch of different interviews and possibly some other stuff in the future. Right now we are still interviewing our WCR artists and affiliates, and today we have Mr. Raystanz. If you want to introduce yourself a little bit more.
Hey everybody, Raystanz here with Nikey Joe for the Monday review series, trying to get my not review series, excuse me, interview series. Let me get my Twitch set up correctly here. Nikey Joe for the Monday review series.
Ooh.
Did you hear that? Sorry.
Nikey Joe.
I'm going to be the first in the chat. Hold on. Yeah, thanks for having me on, Nikki. I'm really excited about this. I have not talked at length about my musical journey to this point, so this will be kind of interesting.
I am excited for everybody to get to know it a little bit more too, as well as myself, as I know that you kind of came into the Discord just like I did, entering a contest? Or
That's
did you
right.
stumble in looking for Reddit too?
I did, yeah. So Reddit was how I found WCR. It seems like that's how a lot of people find it. I know Passive has been doing really, really good work out there lately and bringing in a lot of new members, but I found it when there was a post about the like a cipher contest. This was in February of last year, and the rest, as they say, is history.
It is WCR folklore. He entered into the Discord, entered the contest, and never left. Just like
Pretty much, yeah. I don't know if I've missed. If this was like, if there was like a school attendance record, I think I've been pretty present this entire time since then.
you get a perfect attendance.
I'm due for a hiatus.
Don't take a hiatus on us. As most of us that know you from WCR know that you haven't been doing rap like most of WCR for 10, 15, 20 years. So could you tell us a little bit about your journey into rap, or what inspired you to start recently more so than 20 years back?
Sure. Yeah, probably getting started a little bit later in life than was what is traditional. Kind of focused on working on other things in life up until this point. And then it was about going on 3 years ago when I was like listening to the radio one day, and I mean, I'm a lifelong music lover. If I wasn't making music, I would love to be in the Discord anyway, just chopping it up with people and talking about, what artists they like, what they don't like, talking about the controversy, the drama. Sometimes people say, I think I've heard Dice say, the rap world can be like the WWE. It's just like, it's like drama. It's drama, if any, if nothing else, but also, artistry and entertainment and music too. But it's drama. But so I've been a lifelong fan since I was like a teenager, which is a little bit further back than some of the other members. But a long history of loving music in general, and especially rap music, just because of like the lyricism and some of the complexity. Like you and I have talked about that, or you've commented about how we like complex or like kind of more dense lyrics sometimes. But yeah, like I think I was probably listening to like Cardi B or something like that. And, I just had this thought. I was like, I know I could write that. Like, I just know I could do it. And
you totally can.
I started writing, and I just wrote rhymes. I won't even say songs, because I didn't really learn about song making until I got to WCR. If I made a song before I got to WCR and attempted to record and try artistry, it was by accident. Like for the most part, I was just writing like kind of clever rhymes. Sometimes there was themes, but it wasn't really always cohesive. And I was kind of more focused on like, what kind of like, rare words can I like put in a rhyme, and like make it like just as unique as possible in that way. Did that for about 18 months before I started thinking like I'm thinking to myself, like, I've been doing this writing consistently and I love it. Like, I love writing, but like, I'm curious about like what else can happen, like whether it's giving the lyrics to somebody else, or it seems unlikely that that's going to be possible to just like break into like writing or ghostwriting, without at least making a reference record to show somebody. So at some point I started thinking like, you know what, like to hell with it. Like, I'm just going to go for it because what do I have to lose? Like, if it's embarrassing, if it's bad and cringe, and it will be starting out, like, it's going to be what it's going to be. Like maybe people will laugh or tease, but like, I'm prepared to deal with that, and I'm going to power through it and just give it a shot. And that's when I started looking on Reddit for like, I found some of the subreddits that are like kind of related to, recording and writing and making rap songs. And that's where I found the contest. And that's where last year, and I think January of last year, I came into the Discord, started hanging out in the lounge, and eventually put my 8 bars into the cipher verse, made the B team, and I don't think I made the A cut.
You did.
But that was it. Then it was like off to the races. Like, I think it was probably a day or two after that first recording when I tried doing something else, which was actually Barn Burner, which was strangely, like, I think it released today as a part of the WCR. Yeah.
Today.
So yeah, that's the summary up until joining the Discord. Yeah.
Damn, Ray, you have came so far. That cipher too. That was a good cipher.
It was a really good cipher. Yeah.
I remember that cipher. Very nice. For your journey of starting, obviously a little bit later in life than most of us, do you feel like you have any challenges pursuing, music a little bit later than others? Or do you feel like you have advantages because you have more knowledge?
I think I have a bit of an advantage. I think that I can do it without, I have handled my business outside of music, like in terms of like, my work and my life, and like kind of getting myself set up to be like established and in my career, and like I didn't pursue music like some people do, like maybe as, the primary or only thing or the primary income. And, and I get why people do, and I'm not knocking that. And, part of me almost wishes I kind of had, like if I had started 20 years ago and, where might I be now? I might be in the same place, like, I don't know. But point is, like, I think I have a little bit of an advantage, or at least I feel like I do, because I just am trying to prove things to myself and impress myself and beat myself, like over time, like kind of pause, just get better, grow as an artist and in the community. And I like that feeling of freedom. I like to, I like not having, there's not going to be like a target style or like kind of like click for me to fall into, like kind of who I am and my background. It's like I just kind of have to be myself and be in my own lane anyway. So I don't think I feel those pressures to be like a certain. Some people have like a type sound, like they're going for a certain sound and they're competing with like a popular conception of music. And I love that. I don't know that makes me very likely to like break through with a certain sound that's like novel, but it's pretty cool, and I consider it an advantage, actually.
Nice. Do you feel like having your own, I guess, prior to starting your artistry, skipping, I guess, what most people do is the struggling artist stage, skipping that stage essentially allows you to be more authentically you in your work, because you're not trying to cater to get a deal or, trying to push to make it, because although you might want to, it's not, you're stable in life.
Yeah.
Do you feel like that helps you be a little bit more authentic in your music?
I think so. I am not. So I'm going to try to see if I can change the mic volume here. But I don't know if I can. Sorry, guys.
Oh, you're fine. Is it me? Because I'm kind of far away. Sorry. I leaned back.
Speak more softly. I'll speak more softly and get further away. Can you ask me that question again?
Oh, shit. Do you want me to turn it up? Sorry. Oh, it is really low. I must have bumped this. Is this better? Passive?
Yeah, I can
I
hear
said
you.
like you
I can hear
being
you
able
better.
to deliver your authenticity, I guess, rather than like, you know, some people that will just do a generic sound rather than, or like, you know, do what they think needs to be done to be signed. Re- Although it might not be their authentic self, do you feel like you being more established, I guess, in your personal life allows you to be more authentic and have more fun?
I think so, 100%. And I love that aspect. And I think it's kind of worked to my disadvantage, like in terms of maybe my, and this is just speculation, but like, you know, when you put out a song like That's So Raymond, you know, people are like, what the fuck are you
I
making?
love
And
it.
why are you making that? You know, but like, I wish I could explain why I had the urge to make a song on that beat. Like, I just felt like one day, like I could heard a club beat and I was like, I don't know, like, I just want to try, you know, like I don't care. And then like it turned
There's
out like
nothing wrong with
pretty fun. And no, 100%, 100%. I don't worry about like how it's perceived. I worry about being creative and if I'm feeling happy and feeling joy from the creative process. And it's pretty amazing to have discovered this and to consistently feel that. I've been wondering, and I think there's been times where, you know, it ebbs and it flows, and sometimes you don't feel very creative or positive about what you're doing. But for the
Mhm.
most part, most days, like I love that this is an aspect of my life now, you know, where like I can wake up and think maybe I'll make a song today, you know, and it is, you know,
50 Shades of Ray.
yeah, 50 Shades of Ray. Oh my God, that'd be a great album title.
Um,
Yeah.
I love that though. So you think that the authenticity in your music, do you feel like that stays true to you and who Ray actually is, even though you might do things like "Let's go, Raymond," but that's so much fun for you that you're just loving it.
Well, I think even if like the message is kind of muddled by like certain choices, like it's still like part of me like enjoys like a silly song and having fun, you know? So like there's always going to be some aspect of authenticity in the music, but there's also a challenge that I think I have where, you know, like if I make a song where I'm talking about blickies, you know, and like being about like the blicky life, you know, like ostensibly because I'm saying blicky, like, I mean, it doesn't really, you know, my tone, my life experience, like who I am, like it's not probably always gonna, and I believe on some level, and it might be kind of abstract, that there is authenticity in that music. Like I can't not bring myself to the music, but some of it is kind of like aiming for sounds or styles that I've heard before that I personally like. You know, but maybe like the execution won't quite get there because there could be like an authenticity gap. Anytime I'm talking about just pure emotions, you know, or like kind of like life
Mhm.
stuff, like that's definitely like the true, I'd say the product will reflect more clearly authenticity.
Like I feel like "See You Soon" whenever that comes out. Like I love your verse and "See You Soon."
Yeah.
You're like, oh yeah.
It's like, I
um,
mean, so much time has gone by, Nikki. Like we did that last year
so
and like
long.
I've got like a
So
lot of
long
stuff.
ago.
I got a lot of stuff recorded that, you know, I need to get out there and it's like all in
Mhm.
various stages of completion. You know how it is. Like these things take
Oh,
time.
yeah.
It's
There's
pretty
always some wheel churning somewhere on some level, and just fuck if you remember what's where.
right.
Um, for I guess talking about, you know, Ray with a blicky and your type of style that you sometimes do. Is there any specific mentors or figures in the music industry who have, you know, kind of been someone that you've looked up to, or I guess any influences, or anybody that might be someone from WCR that's been like a mentor to you?
Let me answer in two parts. I mean,
Sure.
let me start with WCR because that's easy and it's pretty much everyone. Anybody who ever reached out and showed support, you know, I mean, whether it's observing people or listening to what they've done and how they do things, or people who have taken the time to provide feedback, and you know, you're part of that group. I mean, obviously, Dice, you know, Bird, um, Passive, Jacob, everybody, Loose, DJB, MCD, like just whether it's an example or active feedback, support, you know, just comments here and there, and as an artist and producing art, almost exclusively WCR is responsible for, you know, helping me progress and like giving me feedback that I can listen to and apply. But then, like, you know, before coming to WCR, and there's just certain artists that I really love who I think maybe they do have some influence on like what I try to do and like, you know, the sound I want to achieve or the way I want to be as an artist. And there's a few key ones. I'm always talking about Black Thought from The Roots, who's like a major one. He's like central to the world of hip hop, you know, I feel, along with like Questlove and the rest of the Roots. I've always been a big fan of Yasin Bey, formerly Mos Def, you know, from Black Star with Talib Kweli. I'm a big fan of like the New York sound, because I grew up in that area. And then Brother Ali and like Homeboy Sandman are two kind of like a bit more like underground style artists who don't really have mainstream success, but you know, it's like a bit more complex lyrics and rhythms and deeper themes and kind of a bit more like abstract stuff. You know, which is interesting because like that's not what, like I was saying earlier, trying to do that wasn't the catalyst for starting. The catalyst for starting was making like goofy songs, like songs I was hearing on the radio. Like forget the lyrical stuff. Like I want to make a hook or a song that sounds like a Cardi B type sound, you know, or like just because like I feel like I can get those words and say them in a way that'll get people excited, you know. So
you do. Our song came out today too. That co-write.
Yeah. How are you feeling about that one? It came out really good.
I haven't listened to it. Well, I listened to it this morning. I realized everything came out like late as fuck. I'm like, oh, it's after midnight. And then I listened to them, and then I haven't listened to anything else today because I've been busy. I'm like,
yeah, I played a few on the. I don't think I got through the whole thing.
Well, haven't shared the other one on social media because, you know, my dad's on social media.
Don't
want to push someone too hard.
Up is super dope. I don't think I'd heard that, or maybe I'd only heard it like one time. And you're on that, right?
Yeah, that one we did last year. Shit, I don't even know. Jacob, did we start that? Like, I'm wondering, like December 22, maybe beginning of 23.
Sorry.
Anyways, yeah, Barn Burner. So that came out today too. Can you, I guess, go into your first song or project that you did release? And how did it feel to create your first song or share it with other people?
That I released?
Yeah. Or I guess that you, either or, the first one you released, because I'm pretty sure that it was a feature, or...
Yeah, I got a couple. I mean, a couple things come to mind. So let me start with like, I guess Barn Burner kind of was like the first one that I put in the world. You know, it was like, oh, I'm gonna record it. I'm gonna, you know, ask for Dice to help me mix it. You know, or pay for his very reasonably priced services. Got to plug Dice in mixing. You know, it's like it's worth it. You know, if you want it done right.
Very reasonable.
Yeah, very reasonable and fair. And oh my God. Okay, so how did it feel? Like, when you say release, I'm thinking of something else, which I'll talk about in a second too. But like when he sent me back Barn Burner mixed, I think he sent it in typical Dice hours. Like it came in at like maybe like 2:30 or 3 o'clock in the morning. And you know, he had mixed my 8 bars like for a cypher verse, and that was super cool to hear, right? But that was like a contribution to like the cypher, and you know, Barn Burner was like a little more like kind of personal. It was like, all right, like this was the thing I created that's like an independent song on a beat out. You know, I selected myself, and I wrote these lyrics that I felt were good about messages that I kind of felt, and like, you know, anger or emotions that I was feeling, and yeah, I recorded when I recorded it. I did it. I had like a USB mic, no interface. I played the beat independent of recording, like on my headphones, and just did vocals, like without, you know, being able to hear myself on a monitor. Send it to Dice. He did, you know, heroic work with it to make it sound good. And Nikki, I think I was up for like 2 hours, like after he sent it, just like in my kitchen, like just like dancing, like playing it back over and over again. Like, oh my God, I'm a rock star. Like I did it, you know, like it's like,
I fucking made a song.
yeah, yeah. So it was phenomenal. It was like one of the
Isn't that feeling great?
greatest
Dice
feelings.
is the serial late night mix sender.
Yeah.
But I will wake up out of a dead sleep and be like, yeah.
I think he's listening. I had a moment where I was like, he had, one of the takes had like a vocal crack in it, and he sampled it and made a part of the beat, and he sent it back to me with that noise in there. And I was like, oh no, like this went really bad. Like, what has he done? And, but then I like sat with it. I was like, oh, well, let's just sit with it for a minute and like see. And then like after a couple of listens, especially when like when he puts it like as a beat element and like it meets the part of my vocal where like it like you hear the sound together, like it was just like, I don't know, like it was like, okay, I see what he's doing here. No, but I mean, can't beat that feeling. That was phenomenal. I didn't really now. In terms of releasing something, like uploading it myself to DistroKid and putting something out, I didn't really do that until a few months ago because like...
I mean, even having a feature coming out, how does it feel to have music, I guess, to show
to be
somebody?
featured? It feels really strange, and it's all happening kind of like I don't... Again, like, you know, like I talked about a little while ago, it's like I just kind of... I'm still sort of mostly focused on just doing it and trying to grow, and I am starting to feel more confident about my ability and recognizing when it's working or when it needs work, or, you know, like, what do I want to put out there? Can I put this out there type of thing, and getting a lot more confident in that way. But I haven't focused much on it. So like, you know, even today, like Dice put my numbers from Spotify in the chat, and I hadn't looked. I don't really check that. And like my monthly listeners is up, you know, and that's a testament and a credit to WCR and everybody else who's like, you know, a rising tide lifts all boats, as they say. So because I'm on some of these tracks, I'm getting the spins, but like, it feels crazy. Like I'm like, all of a sudden I'm like a person who's getting spins on like Spotify, you know,
like people are listening to me.
Who am I? You know, like,
yeah, it's crazy.
So it's awesome.
You have a question from the chat too, whenever you get to it, if you'd like to answer it.
Go check this out.
It's from the Fallen Dove.
Can you
do you want me to read it?
Yeah, please.
I don't really want to read it out loud.
I gotta reboot my
Have you ever fallen asleep on a couch?
Have I ever fallen asleep on a couch?
And there's more. I don't really want to read it on the screen.
Let me I'll pull it up. You go ahead and you can ask the next
It just says I don't understand the context behind it. So I don't quite know where it's going. But I figured if you wanted to answer it, you could in chat.
I'll take a look.
Because it's not really music related or journey related. But you do have another question from Jacob, and it does say, what's one song of yours that when you listen to it, you have a proud moment of, wow, I really did that?
That's a great question. Thanks, Jacob.
That is a
good question. I mean, Barn Burner is definitely one of those, because it was like getting over that hump and that fear of actually making something and getting it out there. Oh man, what about something more recent? Can't just be talking about Barn Burner, right? There's more to my body of work at this point. Mm-hmm. I mean, it shouldn't be, but like That's So Raymond was like, it was ridiculous. I understand and I agree, but it was like the boldest thing. Like I was just like, fuck it. Like I'm doing it. Like I won't be stopped. I won't be deterred. I don't care what people say about like the song.
Yeah, that takes a lot to even release like anything, let alone like, something that could get criticized. And being like, I don't give a fuck. I want to do it. It's fun.
Jacob says that one of the best ones he heard from me was the challenge that he sent me. The challenge, yeah, the free verse that he sent me, I was really excited to do. That was really early on, that Jacob's mentioning in the chat about. He sent me a beat that he had, and he just like, it was, I mean, at this point, I was like, let's set the stage about like where I was at this point. Like I'm a few weeks or not even a month in maybe. And like people are like, all right, seems like you got something, like, let's see what else you do, and so like, Jacob sent me this beat and he was like, "You want a challenge?" I was like, "Yeah, I do." And he's like, "All right, here's the beat, like, 16 bars, like switch the flow 4 times." And I was like, I'm on this. And I went to a party at a friend's house that night and had a great time at the party. He was like hanging out with my friends, like listening to other music, talking, catching up. But like in the back of my mind and like on the way there, like I didn't stop writing like these like verse in my head. And like at like 4 a.m., like I finished it up and I was like, I think I've got it. I like raced home the next day, straight to the booth. And yeah, I felt good about that one. That was the well, I won't call it famous. Most people won't know the reference, but that was the titty drop verse where, like it was like lyrical criticism about like, what is that, and then he said Jacob also mentioned the Minecraft one. And I appreciate, shout out Jacob, for all your support to this point and, making me feel confident and giving me tips. I talk about Jacob tip in a minute that he gave me, which we talked about mentorship earlier. I want to make sure I mention this. But we like re-upped this like Minecraft beat from like a year ago, and I had written some lyrics, and I was like, okay, I'll go lay it down, and like I felt good about doing it, and like that sent it to Jacob, and he's like, you just sound like comfortable and natural on this, and like that kind of is like a start of a period for me, like in recent months where it's like the next, I don't know how to describe it. It's like the next level where I don't think or worry that much about what I'm doing. I go with the flow and I feel more confident usually. And I don't try to do too much or as much. And I just am more relaxed with it. And, we'll see where that goes. It might be the wrong thing. Like I used to really like, kind of like overcook some of my delivery and like, go kind of aggro, but I think that can make for some awkward recordings too. So, yeah, but, so yeah, just to quickly get back to what I wanted to say about Jacob and mentorship, one of the things he had said early on was like, it was almost like get to know your voice, play with your voice, explore your voice, listen to how it sounds like in the microphone and the monitor, do impressions, like scream, yell, cry, sing loud, sing quiet, whisper, and that type of thing. It takes time, right? But like eventually you start to understand, and like it's really weird, like almost to where like, and I bet you'll relate to this as a singer, Nikki. Like, and I'm not a singer, but sometimes like I can sense what my voice box will do when I want to make a certain sound. Like I can almost feel it about to happen before I try, like how it will feel like when I sing or vocalize. And I mean, again, you're talking to a person who wasn't doing this in their life up until February of last year. So, no training. I tried a little training. It was too early for that. I needed like this time to get more kind of confident with just vocalization in general. And I might go back to singing lessons at some point, but it was too early for me because like I couldn't even confidently make a tone remotely close to like, I couldn't confidently match pitch and follow a tune, and like sometimes I can now. That's surprising. Like, and working with Rogue on certain things, like I'd send him back, like just me trying to sing along to his hook. And he'd be like, oh my God, like you were on, like you matched that pitch. So I can follow the leader a little bit better than I can like come up with my own melody and pitch match and hold pitch, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, it definitely makes sense. Speaking of your different songs that you have done, I think that we covered everything. I would like to know a little bit more about your writing process, your creative process. Do you have any like rituals, routines?
That's a great question. No, I don't. I don't.
What do you do when you get blocked?
It used to be before I recorded, it used to be find a beat that I would like and write a lot to that one beat, maybe over a period of days. And it might be just 48 bars and a lot of extra stuff that I took away while I was doing it. A lot of extra material. These days, I don't write unless I have a beat that I think I'm going to record to. and I don't typically start writing until I have the idea, like, all right, like, oh, I heard this beat. This sounds like there's something here. And I have to come up with like, I don't typically start with a theme. Well, something I wrote recently, I did have a theme in mind, and then I came up with what felt like a good opener, and that's all I need. Like, I just need something to get me started. And then from there, I can usually arrive somewhere that like, I'm either super happy with, or at least like halfway happy with. Sometimes I don't think I hold myself to account as much as I should when I'm writing. Like, I love the being in that flow state, and your mind is just working the challenge, and you're just so caught up in that. And sometimes that has me rush to the end and make choices that I think aren't ultimately the best ones for like the song. Like I finished up the end of a hook recently, and I thought, well, that's a little bit cheesy. Like, it's a little bit obvious, like, go back to that and maybe tweak that. But I guess the process is to get the draft down, and hopefully it's like 70-80% of the way there. And then maybe to make changes later, edit it and make some changes.
For sure.
I also don't, I don't know if you do this. Do you ever like write it a certain way, and then when you record it, you like find yourself adding a word someplace or leaving one out, and you don't even you don't even.
I normally write with filler words so that I can drop in and add or leave spaces that I'm like, okay, I could fit this or I could stretch it, especially when I'm singing. But yeah, I end up having to write down my final lyrics from like my recording, because I do end up changing like the smaller words too. Or if something just isn't fitting, then definitely revising it.
Right.
Or calling a friend like, hey, I'm fucking stuck, man. This is not working. Does this sound okay? No. And then normally they'll hear something that works perfectly, and I'm like,
I think that's a mark of newer artists versus like more experienced, because I know, like, I don't know. I mean, I've had the privilege to watch Almighty VA work and record a couple of times, and I don't see him making changes on the fly. Like he kind of, and I think that probably is true of anybody who's been doing it for a few years or more. Like I got to go in the booth and like, I'll try it, and then like, oh, I got to take that word out. Oh, I didn't realize I was going to run out of breath, like when I tried to get to a certain point. And that's like part of the process too. Like I think more experienced artists just kind of, they know it, before they go in. Like they know where they're taking breath. Sure. They know they have enough.
I may be wrong. VA sitting there like going over and over and over and over and over and over it before ever even hitting a microphone. For me, I'm like, sometimes I go to the microphone, I don't even know what I'm singing yet.
I'll answer the following question.
Do this.
Shout out the Fallen Dove. I don't ever smoke to help me with the creative process. That's not something I do explicitly or that I need to do to be creative.
Have you never shaken Ray's hand? I think I've only hugged you. I don't know if I shook your hand when I met you in Oregon. That's how smoothly I say Oregon right now, though.
It could. The handshake. It could be either or, but if it's a situation where it shouldn't be awkward, it will be awkward.
Perfect.
Meaning, like, I'll go for one and then switch to the other, and then it'll become an awkward, like, oh, let's just dap, like.
I do the firm, like, handshake.
Yeah.
But I was always told my handshake is, like, very important.
Yeah, that's like, you gotta look somebody in the eye and give them a firm handshake when you meet them. Yeah, so they know you're a serious person. I mean, post-COVID, as everybody's over it now, and that's fine. Just gotta wash your hands or use sanitizer, and nobody should be that germophobic. But I definitely like switched to just let's just dap, like why that's plenty, like that's enough of a salute to somebody when you meet them, and you can be firm too. You can do a good fist crack, like you can keep that handshake firmness type of concept in there too.
Yeah. So for a little bit more about WCR. I know that you brought up, a couple different mentors. Can you share a little bit about any other members in WCR that you have collaborated, possibly more so than others, and I guess the collaboration of your creative processes and how it has affected yours?
Hmm.
Possibly like, I know you collab with, Jacob a lot. I know that you've collabed with AWOL even, a lot. How do you think that those other artists have helped shape your, I guess, artist?
I mean, yeah, in terms of volume, you know, Rogue had approached me about a collaboration project. This is back in like must have been December or January, and he'd said that was a goal of his to collaborate, and I was like, mine too. I would love that. That would be phenomenal. I got to shout out Rogue because he's a great song starter. Most of what we is going to be on the project. He found the beat. He had a concept. There were a couple times he found the beat. Maybe I sent something first. But point being, just in terms of sheer volume and like towards a certain end, Rogue is my main collaborator since I've joined WCR, and I love that because he and I were, kind of like people who had joined, like early to mid last year, roughly, and so definitely Rogue. Yeah, Jacob and Passive, have given me opportunities here and there. I've offered them things. They might be like kind of, the second and third. And then I think it becomes, that's like the tall part of the graph. And then it just becomes like a lot of, here and there with a lot of different people.
Yeah, the salt and pepper shakers.
I wasn't joking when I said, I mean, I don't know that there's anybody who like, there was shout out Music by Phantom, who doesn't come around the Discord much anymore, but like, there's a period of time, and I might still do it every once in a while. It's like somebody come in and be like, I'm looking for a collab. And I just immediately say yes. I don't care like what it entails. And it's like, it's almost like a fun game. It's like, all right, let's see what can happen. Let's see what you can do. Let's see what they're trying to do. And I think my unique collaborators number would be up there in the Discord. But then again, I know some people have been doing this for 20 years. So, I mean, if you take it outside the Discord life, might be more, but, yeah, a ton of people. And that's the beautiful thing about the community. And, and core members and hosts, they say it a lot. Like Deebert will point out, he's always thinks it's remarkable when he sees like what people come up with and what's happening in the community. And that's like, it's got to be the best part, like it's more about the process and the camaraderie and the artistic collaboration than anything. I feel, and it's helped me immensely. Shout out anybody who ever, was willing to collaborate with me, especially if it came out goofy or wasn't great, every opportunity has been helpful, and I want to keep, I still haven't really slowed down very much. So.
No, you don't slow down very much. I mean, your flow has a little bit. You've played more with it and lowered your syllable counts.
I have, which has been
slow down on that front.
It's been really good advice that I'm glad I'm finally managing to apply. And
I think it's still fun to do the fun long words though too sometimes.
I say recently, I said. I recorded a verse. One of the last verse I recorded, it was pretty straightforward lyrically. And then, then I said lobotomize like for the second to last line. I was like, fuck, well, it's in there now, but it's the only one. I swear it's like the only complicated word, but I get too much flack for that. I developed a rep early on. The rep was deserved. I was saying some crazy shit, like using some vocabulary in there. And I still get into trouble when, a recent review from like a month or so ago, I sent in a cipher entry from another server that I had recorded, and D-Bird was giving me crap for talking about isosceles triangle. And the funny thing about it was like, I still get into trouble with this. Like when I pull up old writing and old like schemes, like it kind of gets me, it just like it'll hit people's ear, like they'll like recognize it almost. They don't know when I wrote it. but I know, you know, and I'm like, oh, like they're like, oh, there goes Ray again. And it's like, it's just so crazy how like writing is that subtle. I wouldn't have thought that, like, but like, you know, I guess style and intention and, you know, what you're doing, it does have an effect.
Do you get how do you take criticism? How did you first take the criticism from the review show?
For the most part, I love it. I'm willing to hear anything. I'm willing to accept anything anybody hears. Like I keep the day one energy, which is like, you're not going to be an expert at this immediately. No matter how good you think your writing is, no matter how passionately you think you deliver something, it's not going to matter. Like it's going to take time and effort and work to get better. And even then it won't always be perfect, you know, like, or even good, you know? But I feel like everybody who comes to the WCR community has like what I call the beef moment, where like you just kind of like you get some criticism, and there's a moment where it gets under your skin, and you let it get to you, and like you're not supposed to let that happen. But you know, in general in life, it shouldn't be. It should always be like, be confident in yourself. If you know things can be said, just accept it, take what you need to, and move on. You know, and grow. And say I'm like 99% successful at that, but like there have been criticisms here or there. Really, not so much. Yeah, like.
Oh, I hope I've never hurt your feelings.
No, I don't think so. No, the one I'll admit to was and he didn't mean anything by it, but like, and this was me starting to get egotistical. I was like, no, I'm not that person anymore. You know, like Ray Dice quipped. He said, he goes, oh, but Ray's a robot. And, you know, this was like a few months ago, and I was like, ooh, not anymore. You're like, let me show you what I can do, you know?
Give it a fire in the ass.
Yeah, you know, and like I just went and wrote and recorded some stuff, but like, I know he didn't mean anything by that. And he was just, you know, like just quipping. And meanwhile, you know, I understand, and I listened to my own stuff and things that I've recorded, and I'm like, okay, that cadence was obviously very predictable and stayed, and there wasn't a lot going on rhythmically, you know, and like I hear my older stuff, and I like having progressed to the point where I hear my older stuff and I'm like, I just wouldn't do that again, you know, like it's gone. That period is over, you know. So
I think artists are supposed to like cringe at their older stuff. I think if you don't, that means you haven't grown.
Yeah.
Like at least one or two things like, oh, I did that.
Right. Well, that's what's weird about like, you know, Barn Burner coming out, because it was fine. You know, it is what it is. It's like of a time and place.
If your sister fucks with Barn Burner. You had a couple questions in chat.
I think I did play Barn Burner for my sister at one point, but you know.
Set it to her, now it's out.
So what's that?
Set it to her, now it's out. Now she can have the Spotify link. Raystanz.
You know, somebody said in one of the forums, maybe it was on Reddit, it was like friends and family famously do not fuck with your music. And you know, like, look, people in my life have like in that regard, like they've listened to certain things, you know, like they understand this is happening, but like they're not in it like we are all together, you know, like they don't know the day to day, like all the different recordings and things that are happening or things that are in the pipeline. Yeah, like I don't share too much. I did earlier on. Now that's what's cool about the journey, is like increasingly, like, you know, like there was a period of time where like I wanted to make something cool and bring it to the review show, like bringing home your picture to like have mom and dad hang on the fridge type of thing. And like, oh, let them see what I made. Let them see like, you know, what I'm doing now. And like, even now, like I still enjoy that. I love sharing the work, but the feedback along the, like, I'm definitely still seeking feedback and want to develop, but like, I've also got enough confidence, and I feel like enough of my repertoire to like feel more confident about not needing feedback for something I'm trying to do. Or I can take it at a certain stage, you know, like, and I don't need everything to be shown off for just because I managed to do it, or, you know, early on I wanted to like, everything was new and exciting, you know. Now it's become a bit more like, just the work of music, you know, and it's still joyful, but like it's more of like a
More that
less
logistical side.
less sensational process, or like less exciting in a certain way. Still fulfilling, still very fulfilling, very joyful, but like I don't need to run around with the shiny stuff.
It's not bright-eyed and bushy-tailed anymore. Like, look at this, look at this.
Right.
What messages and themes do you try to portray or convey through your music? Is there any specific messages you do try to on specific projects?
I mean, I don't, you know, it's not like, and I am starting to think about that more. Like when you start to think about putting out an album or something like that, like, you know, listening to the
Right,
past.
you haven't had a whole album yet. So like, I know that a lot of the times themes are, you know, geared towards the features and the other artists, but
Right. But you know, like I have like a little body of work where I'll definitely, like, I'm going to have enough to do like a EP or even a short LP. And it'll be like me primarily, like doing at least a verse and probably the hook on most songs, and then getting features. I don't know that I'll put any of, you know, just me on that one. I might save that for like another project. So I'm calling this one unofficially Ray and Friends. I don't have a good title for it yet, but it's like, you know, it's just stupid title. But I mean, that one, you know, Passive had said something in like a recent stream about, you know, like you wanted to hear people who were like older in their life and in their artistic life talk about things which were like maybe more immediately and obviously relevant to their life. It's like one of the last things I sent him was like, you know, like just nonsense, just like, oh, like, you know, getting off a bus in Florida, you know, and it's like this about nothing. Like it's just kind of like general like things to say on a record. But this project would be more like definitely more about feelings and events, you know, that are more recent in my life, you know, deeper, tougher stuff. Also on the album, on the project with Rogue, you know, and I just, you know, the thing I would say that like the way I've developed as a person in the past few years has to not be afraid to be more emotionally vulnerable and expressive. And that's like famously a problem in toxically masculine culture where like, you know, you're raised a certain way and you don't show emotion, you don't express emotion, you know, and, you know, independent of music, that's something I started focusing on about 3 years ago. And, you know, it'll be a lifelong practice from this point forward, you know, to continue to grow and develop in that regard personally. And I don't want to be afraid to share my emotions, and I want to be able to express them like verbally in person and interpersonal relationships. And I want to do it effectively in music too. And it's really fun in music, and it's often easier because you're kind of performing and putting like a bit of a spin on it, or like a certain presentation, as opposed to just having to talk about it straight up, you know, like when the stakes are higher. So emotional vulnerability, you know, passion. I think passion should be there. And, you know, like I don't talk about, you know, Barn Burner was like kind of a political song, and I was feeling frustrated by events in the news and, you know, just certain policies and the way things are in our society. And like, I might go back to that from time to time. I don't find myself being drawn to that as much. I'd rather talk about feelings and emotions and vibes.
Do you think that your life experiences have influenced you up to this point to start, you know, since you have been trying to, I guess, come more into your femininity from your masculine side?
Your words.
It's the balance. Everyone needs to. Females have to balance their masculinity too.
Yeah.
That's how you get that duality.
By femininity, you mean ability to express emotion? See, I would hope that.
Females freely express emotion where males don't.
That's true.
I mean, I guess the feminine
stereotypically,
the masculine trait is to express your emotions, and then the masculine trait is let me fix it, and the feminine trait's like I just wanted to tell you, I didn't want to fix it.
Yeah. I hope, I was going to say, I hope we get to a point one day, it'd be long after you and I are gone, where society doesn't have that association where, you know, mental health became like publicly funded and everybody had the opportunity to express emotion in a healthy and safe way. And, you know, a lot of our societal ills would abate with that. I feel, you know, like if it was more focused on that, because, you know, all this crime and strife that we see in the world a lot of times is coming from people not getting support that they need, you know, like, and it could be material support. It could also be emotional and social support. But sorry, can you ask me the question again? I lost track of it.
Do you think that your life experiences influence the messages that
Yeah,
are now starting to come out?
for sure. I've been through things like anybody else, you know, and they've been heavy emotional things, you know, and there was no escaping from those things, you know, like sometimes when life is a certain way, you kind of come to a status quo in a place where you can compartmentalize and not address things. And, you know, things I've gone through in my personal life in recent years, there was nothing to do except face it directly, you know, and, or maybe I could have tried to power through. I'm glad that I didn't, because I think that I would have been much worse off if I had, you know, tried not to deal with my emotions and, you know, the realities of my life. But yeah, my life events have definitely led me to this point. I'd like to think I still would have tried music, but it came at a time where, you know, these other things were happening, which were going to make it more, I think, rich and interesting than if I had tried to hide my emotions. I think I would just be talking about blickies, and this would not be, I wouldn't be where I am right now.
You'd be Ricky with a blicky, not Ray.
Say that again.
I said you'd be Ricky with a blicky, not Ray.
Ricky with the blicky. That'll be my next name. Let me see here. Let's see somebody's.
You have some later chat questions like, which WC artist do you think you're better than?
I
wouldn't answer that question if I were you.
Well, the easy answer is all of them. I don't care what they've done or who they are. Rap is a competitive sport.
That is some self-love and confidence. Love it.
And, you know, my trajectory is famously aggressive and often described as accelerating rapidly and exponential progression. So I wake up every day trying to emulate them, and, you know, I aspire to be their peers. And that's just been a motivating factor for me. It's just like, I love seeing what people do. Everybody does amazing shit. And it's like, oh my God, you know, and then like, that's the thing about like what we do. It's like, I've done things that weren't working and I shared them with people, and they're like, that makes me want to rap or like make something. And I like, you know, you get that, right? It's like, you hear somebody else just be like, damn, that's awesome. You know, and like, it just gives you that spark and that motivation.
It's contagious. Yeah. That's why I say music will heal the world. One aspect or another, it's contagious.
That's what's cool about this too. It's like, nobody can, I don't know. I mean, we hear when we listen on the review show, you know, you hear like, you might hear somebody do something and you say, oh, that sounds like such and such. But like, I don't know, like there's enough variability in music with like unique voices and writing styles and beat selection and choices in delivery and cadence that like everybody can sort of be something unique if they sort of think that over time, as you work at artistry, like you kind of start to gravitate towards that, and you understand like what your unique and positive aspects are and where you have strength, and you do that more, you know? So.
You got a couple more questions in chat. Off topic, do you have a power suit? I don't know if that means like a Power Ranger suit. What the fuck is a power suit?
I don't. Who asked the fallen dove? I think what he means is like a business suit, and I don't really these days. I have some suits. I haven't really worn them lately. I don't know if they're fitting very well. Got to check on that.
That's cute.
It's time to get a new one. Shout out Passive. He didn't ask a question, but yeah, he said to me one day, he put something like in the collaboration forum,
Mhm.
And he's like, I mean, his music isn't, I don't like, it's not like, he obviously is an incredibly gifted and awesome writer. And like the way I asked him the other day, I was like, what's the secret? Just fucking tell me, you know? And like, he told me some things and he's like, there's 2 things I'm not going to tell you. He's like, you couldn't do it anyway. That's like, bastard. But, he had some great advice and things I probably will do a year from now, finally get around to applying. But, he's such a great writer. And like, you know, he writes in a way that's not like too on the nose or obvious. It's always very creative and poetic and like rolls off the tongue well and sounds so good when he records it because the way he writes it, it's going to have a good cadence. He knows he's going to deliver it in a way that sounds awesome. And he's so great with tones, you know, like beautiful, warm tones and melody, and he can switch up. And, but he sent the song and it was like, it's like, I want to know who can come up with a hook that relates to the subject matter. And like, in my mind, you know, like the subject matter was obvious to me. And so he's saying now, like, you know, he thinks we were raised similarly. And I agree. Cause like what I was hearing, I guess sometimes songs are sort of like one of those ink blots where like 2 people can listen to the song and like one person will be like, oh, whoa, like I heard something in there that, you know, touched a nerve in me, an emotional nerve. I hear what you're saying, you know? And, I sent him the, you know, like a 12 bars back and he's like, yeah, you get it, you know? And I sent him something else like that the other day, you know, because we were talking about something else. And it's like, it's time to talk a little more about this. It prompted me to write, you know, about that topic. But I talk about criticizing my own writing. I finished up and I was like, some of this is decent. Some of this needs a little bit more creativity, you know? But, yeah. But shout out Passive. I agree with him on that point.
For sure. It's something special when you feel heard by someone else's words. You're like, I feel seen. I feel heard. It definitely is. You know, that's definitely something great. I think there was another random question about your hair in there, but if you want to scroll, you can find it. It was further up. I might have missed it. Sure. How do you balance, a question that I've asked everybody on the show, how do you balance life and music? Is it easy? Is it hard to find a balance between responsibilities and everything going on in life with music? And it's pretty
easy. It's pretty easy for me right now. I've got, you know, work isn't too demanding. It often is. I mean, I work in cybersecurity. So, you know, sometimes there's like late nights and emergencies and stuff like that, but not too often these days. And personally, I've got a little more freedom at this stage of my life right now. And so I'm enjoying having the ability to do this and take my time with it. And again, that's probably a bit of an unfair advantage. I don't think I have as much responsibilities as, you know, some of the other folks who are doing music. And I'm going to continue to use that in my advantage. But some of them, it doesn't matter. You know, like people got kids, they'll still turn around a beautiful, well-executed verse in 60 minutes after hearing a beat. You know, it's like pretty remarkable. So honestly, like I've been doing this so consistently now for like a year and a half and devoting a fair bit of my personal time to it that like I can feel that just draw to like other things again, you know, like, cause this was so new and exciting and like easy to get. You know, shout out Passive in the chat, who once famously said, rapping is a vice, you know, and I agree with them. And I'm trying to balance in the other direction, you know, and kind of like, you know, cultivate other things in my personal life because I've enjoyed this period of time of just being very focused on music. It's been a major blessing. Not everybody has this privilege or this opportunity to do it, and I've been enjoying it. Yeah.
So you starting, you know, a little bit later on than a lot of artists. What do you think are some misconceptions, say someone that might be in their mid-30s that have always wanted to try music that maybe stop them, that people have about starting music later in life? Any type of stipulations or anything like that, you know, have you heard, you know, anybody like, what are you doing this late trying to do this? Have you had that at all?
I think it's definitely, I mean, people would say there's the famous, you know, it's like, it's never too late. That could be applied to so many different things. And I think if there's something that you're passionate about that you want to explore, then you really should try. whether it's music or other things. And, people have all kinds of reasons to talk themselves out of things. People may have life demands and they're busy and they don't make time, or, sometimes with music and performance, I think, the way you're worrying about how you'll be perceived and if you won't be good, or if you don't like how you sound, that can be a deterrent for me. And I've said this, a few times, over the months and years now, in the community. It's like, and you forget about music, like sometimes people will say, it's like, you're worried about what people think about you. And sometimes people might think about you, like in the moment when they're talking with you, but like, think about yourself. And are you spending a lot of time thinking about what other people are doing? Like, not really. Like, we're all main characters in our own life. And we got to remind ourselves, like, not to have too much main character energy, like as some of the younger members in the Discord might say. But also, like, it's just natural. I mean, that's what being human is. Like, you're focused on what you perceive in your own experience. But the point of that is, like, so is everybody else. And like, really, like, if you do music and if you're abysmal, nobody's going to care. Like, they might listen and laugh and be like, wow, that's not great. And then they'll forget about it and move on. And they won't even remember it happened, like, in days time. And same's true if you're phenomenal, probably. Like, they will like listen and be like, that's incredible. And that's like evidence for like why it's okay to start, because like you could be phenomenal at it and it's still not going to matter to anybody very much, like, because I mean, we spend our days in this creative community with people who are phenomenal. And, unfortunately, we don't just magically all blow up and like start selling out arenas like when we do something that's cool, and nobody cares. Do it for yourself, whether you're, it's like there's posts online. People will be like, oh, I'm 15. Can I start music now? Of course you could start now. Like, it's like the perfect time to start. There's not as many examples of like artists who achieve commercial success or notoriety or critical acclaim, I think, when you start later. But I think that's less a function of that the talent is there and more a function of, as time goes on, you feel like you've walked down other paths that preclude you from walking down this new one. And I don't know, I hope and pray that people in their lives can find the courage that they want to try music or try other things if they haven't tried them before. Because for me, the experience has been incredibly fulfilling and has literally changed my life. I mean, literally, like, right? I don't know who I'd be or, what I'd be doing if I hadn't tried this. And so glad that I did. Since I'm here doing this interview, let me take the opportunity to thank you, Ms. Token, Nikey Joe, and every other core member and member in the Discord for this ongoing. This is like, I said it in my 500-day post. It's like, it's an ongoing experiment. There's no guarantee this community is going to last. I mean, I'm committed. I know a lot of us are committed to continuing to participate and work to grow it. And I think that'll make it stick around for a long time, just that alone. But, I mean, life has a funny way of causing things to change. And you don't, before you know it, something isn't what it was, and this has just been a phenomenal experience for, personal growth and fulfillment, enjoyment, hanging out with other people who are like-minded. I really love it day in, day out. So
there's nothing like it, is there? Absolutely nothing like hanging out with the community. So
I was famously very defensive of the community last year. I got my reputation for security now, but I didn't like seeing anybody who would come in and like troll or try to undermine it with like, posting other artists who they didn't. It was like, don't you dare try to like I see you trying to undermine and dilute this.
Our thing.
Yeah,
it's fun.
It's fun. It's like you're distracting and drawing away from a thing that a lot of people enjoy and care about,
I really think that a lot of people do enjoy your community. I think it keeps a lot of people going.
Yeah.
Even if it's just little things here and there. For Raystanz, how do you envision your future in music? Are you gonna keep going? I know that you said we're just kind of hinting that you know, you've put a lot into music and you're going to kind of like balance out to some other areas of life?
Yeah, like I'm definitely going to keep. I don't see myself stopping making songs or writing lyrics and trying to record them. I could see the pace slowing down a little bit, and I think that it has of late. I mean, I moved recently, so like that life change, um, you know, took some energy away from when I might have otherwise been recording. I believe I'll continue to do it just for the sake of doing it. And the question I have for myself and what I'm trying to decide, and I guess I haven't really gotten firmly behind it yet, is like, do I want to try to do more? Do I want to put the work out just to do that? And then, but like, like the self-promotion, social media, like, that aspect of it, like I'm not sure yet. I kind of do. Seeing the numbers today, I was like, oh, well, all right. Like, maybe like,
maybe.
You never know, like, you never know. Like, you never know what can pop and when. And, if you believe in yourself and invest in yourself and promote yourself, there shouldn't be any shame or harm in that. For me, I've wanted to have, I'll say this. I see some people talking about things that shouldn't matter to them at certain stages. Like, I think a lot of artists, like, they want to express themselves artistically, and everybody should. But, like, if you're talking about making a big sprawling project and like you can't really effectively make a song just yet, maybe calm down, do some features, take your time, like, explore. Don't try to go too far too fast. And I am very much on the side of, something I said to Jacob, or Jacob said to me, I think, was I said, I think I have like 300 recording sessions, like on my hard drive, but I've released one, like myself directly. And he said, I wish I had done that, and I think for as talented as some people are, I feel like a lot of their earlier stuff holds up in and of itself. But like, I know what they mean. It's like, well, I got so much better in what I could do as time went on that like I would go back and take some of that stuff out of circulation because it doesn't reflect, what I believe my skill level is now, or, and so I'm definitely, I'm comfortable with. I love that the pace for me is about the development of capabilities as an artist and not about trying to like go too fast from like a promotion or release type of thing, or like about the culture or the life, just about getting the artistry down.
Yeah.
I think Jacob said his early stuff is so ass. I mean, there was one thing I listened to on one of Jacob's early projects where I was like, oh, okay, that sounded like a little bit like experimental and he was exploring. Like he didn't, like I sounded like an early artist. But like sometimes like from what I've heard, like I haven't listened to Luce's whole catalog. It's super extensive. I went back at one point. I was like, let me go listen to the oldest thing I could find. And it was still fucking awesome. And I was like, God damn it, man. Like, what the hell? Like,
yeah, my old stuff. There's one feature out there that was recorded on a phone and it is not mixed. They just released it. And I'm like, no.
Oh my
really
God.
bad.
I got to find some. There's some. I've put some. Like, I've never tried to put forward, like, well, I mean, I have some ridiculous recordings. Like one time I love the story. I sent Jacob some singing, and it was not good. Like it wasn't even. It was like trying to approach singing. It wasn't like actually singing. And he said to me, he's like, "Thank you for sharing that with me." It was so polite. But yeah, it's dope.
Can you share any future projects that you have coming out besides the Rogue one that you were already talking about? Or you can talk about that one too. Or I guess other collaborations that you're excited about coming out or that just came out recently?
Well, I mean, it's been awesome to have some of the stuff I had recorded earlier be part of the, kind of recent releases that have been going on. I am excited about that.
How did it feel to release something under WCR?
It felt cool. Yeah, I was like, hey, okay, there we go. Like the material's there. Like, I'd love for it to be out there. And Dice approached me about Barn Burner, and like it's interesting because like I didn't release that myself. I've had it. I've been sitting on it, and it's definitely like it belongs to the community, you know, like it's like
Yeah.
I mean
It's part of the folklore.
I don't, you know, like I said to
So is
Lamb
Let's Go Raven.
yeah, I said to Lamb at one point, it was like, you know, he like let me get on a track with him, and it was an awesome track, and like I managed to like hang on by the skin of my teeth like on this track, you know, because it's Lamb, you know, and it's like
Mhm.
I don't have any. I could get as good as I'm going to get, and I still really wouldn't generally have business with him on a track. Like I'm not going to be able to like. I feel like bring something that's going to stand out, you know, like relative to his capability, and that I mean that goes for most folks in the community.
Mhm.
But like Lamb just has those like explosive, self-evident
yeah,
like gifts,
Lamb
you
is.
know.
Whew.
But I said to this is how I feel about Barnburner. It's like Lamb got on, you know, Dice prompted Lamb to get on Barnburner, and he graciously did, and then Dice got on there, and like those guys like kind of like, you know, like you listen to like my verse and it's like, all right, that's kind of like, I don't know, there's something, you know, and then like those guys are doing like more classically like listenable stuff, and you know, I just like I've said it to Lamb, say it to Dice, say it to anybody I work with. It's like, you know, I generally haven't believed myself to be a person who could be doing this, and like to do it with y'all is like so awesome. It's like such an incredible. It's like it's a thing. I hope that I look back, you know, later in life when I'm old and feeble, or like, you know, on my proverbial deathbed, where I say, no, fuck it, I don't have regrets. I did that shit. You know, like I was on that track. Like I stepped up. Like I believed in myself, and that's what matters, you know, like it doesn't have to be a hit song or be like a mega release, you know, and I hope those come, and maybe this some of the stuff we put out, you know, will yet get there, but it feels awesome. I'm so thrilled, you know, to have, when I first came around, for people to say, oh, this guy, you know, sounds like he's got something, and then to be included and contribute. And I definitely want to, you know, try to continue to do that. But as far as projects go, yeah, me and Rogue have kind of been done with like most of the recording for our collaborative project. There's some really cool, interesting stuff on there, that like things you wouldn't expect to hear from me or him. That's why we called it Rogue Radio, because some of the beats and the styles are like they vary across the album. So like you know, radio, the concept like turning the dial, like hearing something different. We've got some pretty interesting stuff there, and I'm excited to put that one out. I was mentioning the project, the working title, Ray and Friends. Like I'm starting to amass like 5, 6, 7 tracks here where people I've collaborated with, I've sent them something where I had a verse and I had done a hook on it, and they said, yo, let me get on that. Or, you know, I asked them to get on it and they did. And I want to put that out eventually, and I'm working towards that. And then eventually just a complete solo project, like no features, just me, which still feels like a bit of a daunting mountain, to be honest.
50
Like
Shades of Ray.
50 Shades of Ray. Yeah. I don't know how, like, you know, like Rogue or Dice, like Dice, you know, has churned out solo projects. Rogue has churned out material, and they're incredibly confident in what they're doing, you know, and it's generally working well. And like I'm starting to get there, but like it's just, you know, I don't have as much ready for the solo project. And I got a few things, but I'm going to work on getting these first 2 out, you know, which are more collaborative in nature, and then eventually the solo project. I had wanted to try to get, like I said, 4 projects this year, or like at least 2. So hopefully I'm sure we'll get Rogue Radio out before the end of the year. And I'm pretty sure I'll get this Ray and Friends project out before the end of the year. And solo project, I'm not sure. That might come like early next year. We'll have to see.
Yeah, I know getting together a lot of solo music when you're so used to doing features and such with other people. I collaborate a lot, so I'm like, oh, it can be a struggle to work
It's
on
too much. It's too much fun to collaborate.
I love collaborating with other people. I love the process of it and the magic of collaboration and creativity, like when you're actually in like writing together and like just feeling like that's why I'm so excited for Georgia.
Passive, which
state.
Gonna ask Passive in the chat which song he was talking about.
5 on it. Do you got 5 on it, Ray?
Lunas?
He said no.
5 on it.
Can you describe, I guess, for your delivery, and when you are recording the different emotion and thoughts that go through your mind as you're delivering? Because I know with your delivery, it feels like you do memorize your lyrics when you're delivering. Is there any specific, thoughts and things that, or emotions and such that run through your mind while you are delivering to kind of get you into your zone?
I think no, and I think that's something I'm working on. Well, I mean, let me submit it.
The blank space in there is
Multi-part.
helpful.
No.
Focusing on
I think it's more so. Advice that I've heard Dice give is like, imagine when he talks about delivery, sometimes he'd be like, what if you were sitting across the table from somebody and you were talking to them? Like, how would you communicate? And so I think a lot of the time I'm focused on tones that would engage a listener in a communicative way. What I would like to do a little bit better with is what I think something like, for example, Passive is really good at, is like that very present emotion at times. And it's like coming through. And that's my own estimation of myself. There's definitely emotional energy, like on certain songs. There was one a while back, which may still get released at some point. Rogue and I were talking about it. I don't know if, but there's like, it's me, DJB, Rogue, and Passive. Rogue's doing the hook, and then the rest of us have a verse. And for me, that's like a standout where like I was definitely like writing from an emotion, like a very specific emotional place. And even though like I wasn't like, moaning or wailing or crying in the song, but like the sentiments just felt very present as I was recording that one. And I remember saying to like DJB and Rogue, I was like, that wasn't Ray. That was my government name. That was the me, like on that one. And so yeah, I mean, I think I hope that's something I continue to get a little bit better at, because I think that makes for really compelling material. Somebody who did it really, really, really well recently was Dice, on a track on his latest solo project called Bye. I don't know if you've heard that one or heard that one recently, Nikki, but like I was thinking about this earlier today. It's like, I think as artists, sometimes you're a bit more performative and like you're doing more in your delivery, and other times you're not doing as much and you're just sort of coming from a more real place and like less performative. And for me, I don't know if anybody else in the chat can comment on that one if they heard it. I hope most of us did. We all should be listening at least one time to each other's stuff. But
for sure,
I was really impressed with what Dice did on that one. That one stuck with me, to the point that I'm talking about it right now.
Dice has really good. I guess his delivery is what I always call him the smooth guy, but that's because he can like portray any emotion without making it feel forced.
Mm-hmm.
For me, I feel like, and even though he says he writes, he's not a lyrics guy, but his lyrics definitely speak. So most of them, sometimes he just writes some raunchy stuff, but that's okay too. But yeah, I definitely think that he does portray very well through his different inflections and stuff, his emotion. Even though he doesn't talk about them, he does in his music.
That's enough.
Mm-hmm.
And you can ask. No, you can ask. You can ask somebody. I've asked him occasionally. Not as much recently. I just send him memes now.
Yeah, he communicates a lot with memes. What advice do you have for any aspiring artists who are looking to try to make their mark? Any specific things that maybe have helped you that we haven't gone over yet?
Oh man, be courageous. Um, Work a lot, especially early on. Don't think you're going to do one thing and it's going to be awesome. You have to keep trying to craft your sound and get more comfortable. Um, Take as much advice as you can get. Find a community like WCR or whatever suits you, and you know, participate and seek feedback and give feedback to others, and get to know your voice. Gotta credit Jacob again. Just like, it doesn't have to be. There's redeeming qualities. There's got to be redeeming qualities in every voice. Not everybody's going to be a powerful singer or like the most articulate, sharp, fast rapper, or have a deep voice or a high voice or like a voice which is quote unquote good. The craziest thing about what people have said to me at times, it's like, oh wow, like Ray, like you have such a good voice. And I do believe it now. And like, I like hearing my own voice, like, on certain work, but I believe for the longest time that my voice did not have like merit, like in an artistic context. It was like you tried and you couldn't sing or do tones when you were younger. So that's it. Like your voice, you don't have a big range or a booming voice or a deep voice, or, you can't sing just automatically. So your voice isn't good. And, I don't believe that or feel that way anymore. I feel like there is redeeming value and merit in it. And I don't need it to be, I don't need, naturally you'll compare yourself to others and recognize that they have more gifts or more development than you do. And that's fine. But I no longer need to be, I no longer need to feel any type of way about that. I'd rather focus on this thing that I've come to, experience and acknowledge, which is like me starting to understand my own voice better and how to employ it more effectively. I think it's probably changed the way I talk, where like I let more, like as crazy as that sounds, right? But like, I can like get more projection or like let more wind come through, like just like, better all around voice.
I mean, I think that you've exponentially improved. Even your singing has, for sure.
Yeah.
And even though you haven't sang, I haven't heard you sing on anything in a minute.
I got something coming soon with
All right.
a very subtly sung hook, but it's primarily a sung thing. Yeah.
All right. All right, that sounds like it will be very good coming up. We're almost about to wrap up, but I did just want to pick your brain a couple more little things. I do want to get a little bit of words on networking and collaboration. I know we've spoken a lot about collaboration because we do a lot of it here at WCR. But how important do you feel that networking and collaboration inside of either artist community or local community is in a music career?
It seems immensely important. It may be even essential or something. Is there an example of a person who has been successful without a collaboration? I don't know. Maybe the only thing that comes to mind, and I don't even know the full story of this artist, is like, like Billie Eilish, like in her bedroom with her brother, like kind of like cooking up. And I don't know how much, I don't know if she ever participated in a community like this, but no, I mean, that's like the first thing people say. It's like, and that's something I want to try to do, IRL in real life, is like find community here in Metro Atlanta where there's, more, just get out there more like in that way, and I feel like that would be important for me. And I would grow in that way too. It's almost like, but the convenience of the internet, it's like, oh, well, we got it virtually. So who gives a shit? Because like it's happening. It's definitely happening. Like I don't know that doing that adds a new dimension. It probably does. You know what it would probably add? And this is an area where I need to grow is like the public presentation. Cause like even trying to go up to VAs and record, I don't record in front of other people. So like, you know, it's like, it's not my home turf.
Recording in front of someone else?
For the first time, I did. Yeah. When I was up at VA's studio, give me a chance to get on something. And I was like, no, like, let me take it home because like, I need to, you know, kind of feel it out. Like, I don't know exactly what I'm doing when I get in there, but like, it's VA recording me, you know, like he goes in and like knocks out a killer verse and I'm like, oh shit. Like, all right, like this, the writing was decent. You know, but, that was fun when I was up there, you know, it was kind of like, all right, let's write to this. It was like, I just like was able to churn out like 12 decent bars, like really quickly, you know, like, so.
I was going to say it. I know that, you know, you guys both being in the general same kind of vicinity has probably influenced you. I remember the first night that you went out and met him was you had gone to this actual studio in Atlanta.
Yeah. I will never ever forget the look on his face when I
you were so new to the community then. I was so worried about you. I'm like,
first time.
Kill him.
I mean, he has like
be like, what are you doing showing up here? You ain't showing up here.
Well, he had invited. I mean, I think he went on the Discord and like generally invited.
I know he did. I don't like, you know, you don't think that someone would actually show up, but Ray did. Tell us more about that.
And I was like, you know, fuck it, I'm around here. Like, why not go check it out? You know, like, hopefully he means it. If he says no, he says get the fuck out of here. I'll just leave. You know, like, or you know, if he said, hey, we're busy. You know, maybe this isn't the best time. But you know, I know, and we know, you know, VA pretty well now, and I know him well enough. And I'm not saying I know him super well, but like we know his like personality type and his like just the fun elements of his personality, and like sometimes he's the type to like hit you with that kind of like what the fuck face, you know, like it's like, you know, he's like not smiling or laughing. He's like say that again,
or diss you out of nowhere. You're like, what the? And then he'll be like, love you.
Yeah, but yeah. Like I got rock up at the studio and like I brought some stuff like I brought some like, you know, like stuff to drink and like some snacks or whatever in a box. And
you gotta get thrown.
I was like, hey, I'm here. And he's just like in his car, like talking on the phone, probably like to his wife or something. And he's like, just like looks up at me like, oh, okay, yeah, you're Ray, you know, but like first that was
maybe with the flicky showing up at the studio.
Maybe I shouldn't have come here. But that was incredible. You know, just briefly, I mean, like I said, like I was blown away that night because like he was obviously an old pro and like just kind of went in this, you could immediately step in the booth and kill it and like get the recording done. And, you know, time is money. He's getting it done. And he had some of, you know, some other, you know, cadre people there, including somebody who we have all heard recently, like on one of his releases, this guy Molly, who was like a really gifted singer. And they're just like they're going in there and it's like, looks like it seems so effortless, you know, like, and it's not like they have natural gifts. They develop them, you know, they've been doing it a long time. But I was like, holy fuck, like this is like really how it's done, you know, like it was really, really cool to see. And I gotta thank him again for that opportunity, even now, you know, because that for me was really cool to see like early on.
That's awesome. Yeah, I don't think a lot of people get to actually see, you know, that kind of talent in a studio. I'm sure that you took tons of notes and such.
I didn't take any notes. I just took it all in. You know, it's like it's gonna be what it's gonna be. No, it's all mental. You know, it's like I mean, it's like it's primarily aspirational. It's like I want to someday be in a studio recording to a point where like, yeah, like it would be worthwhile to hire an engineer because you know you've got something and you know you can do it when you get in there. And like just to do that in general would be cool. And then like to watch them be as professional as they were with it, you know, to be able to step up and get it done. It's like, I want to be like that. My favorite, you know, and it's one of my favorite moments from going in there was I had like listened to his project, you know, before going in, and I didn't realize like he was like, I mean, he sounds so phenomenal and could say almost anything, but like he writes some pretty complex lyrics sometimes, generally, usually.
They're so good.
And I remember asking him about like one lyric in particular. I was like, "Did you mention Ray Kurzweil like on one of your songs?" And he just like paused for a minute. He goes, "Well, I read a lot." It's like the way he said it was like so matter of fact, and like it cracked me up. But I love that about his work. Like his writing and the way he approaches things.
Yeah, the way he formulates his sentences and his rhyme schemes, his metaphors, everything is like it's definitely something that I've learned from him has been delivery with writing and stuff like that. That was a big thing in Texas was him helping me figure out my writing. Obviously. I have one last question for you. If you could collaborate with any artist, living or dead, who would it be and why? Very basic question, but I actually haven't asked it to anyone yet.
I think for me, and I think it's achievable, at least I hope it is. I mentioned him earlier. He's like one of my kind of favorite artists who I've followed over the years, and I generally like everything he's doing, although it's a little bit more on like the experimental underground side of things. But it's Homeboy Sandman. And I think I actually like I don't know if I still do, but I think I might have a line to him. Like I might know an email where I can reach him. So if I can achieve that, like it's like not game over, but like that would be like the most amazing thing in the world. Because I would have gone from, in my mind, I've seen him at shows, like maybe just I think maybe I've only seen him one time. It would feel like having crossed over from the audience to the stage at that point, even though I sort of already have in a way, and I kind of need to do it. So I think it'd be fun to get up for an open mic night someday soon. But
open mic.
Yeah. But yeah, no, I mean, I'm not exactly sure why. He's somebody who that's an artist who when I listen to his story, he's somebody who I think actually started a little bit later in life, like maybe in his early 30s, he started rapping, and he left a professional career in education to pursue music full time. And I feel like a bit of I can kind of relate to that. And of course, I love his work too. He's done some really interesting raps and rhymes that stick with me to this day, like across multiple projects. So yeah, Homeboy Sandman.
All right. I like that. Especially if it is someone that, has started later in life. I think that's a big thing, even, with WCR, and like your story and WCR's story itself is like about, coming back and showing that it's never too late to, chase your dreams and try something different that might be something you fucking love that puts you in your authenticity. And I think that's a big thing, with your story here is like, it's almost like a second life. Same thing with mine, in WCR and music, is coming back to finding yourself and what maybe you should have been doing all along,
Beautiful world, beautiful community. Shout out the founders. I think we should have a WCR day on the calendar and celebrate each year.
Oh yeah, we should see if we can make it a national holiday. Just kidding.
Sure, maybe, but hey, if it gets to that point, then we will have done something right, because
we need to do a WCR fest. But
someday
I am going to. Oh yeah, we do the artist toolkit. So 5 things. I have written down some things that you have kind of given out that I've asked for and pieces of advice. So 5 things from each person I've interviewed so far. I'm putting together in like a little PDF for a little artist toolkit for people to take on their way if they need it. So I have don't go too far too fast, which is one of the things that you had stated. It's never too late or early to start. And then I had a couple different things like be courageous and make sure that you work a lot and get feedback or get to know your own voice. So there was a couple extra things. You had a lot of advice. So any of those specifically that you would want to possibly change out or put in the toolkit?
That's real good. I mean, I guess have fun and do it for yourself. Don't do it for anybody else. Like I think it has to start and end there, like don't do it expecting other people to, if you do it expecting for other people to tell you that it's good and that's your motivation, don't do that. Do it because you made something that you were proud of and it came across the way you envisioned it and it was good enough for that reason, and then later the other stuff can come, like the critical praise, when it is good, when you've made a song that like works and stuff. So do it for you. Yeah. I mean, all this stuff feels kind of cliche, but I guess there's a reason things are cliches, because they're the most important advice in life, and you hear it over and over again. So
yeah. And sometimes it's the hardest to take.
Right.
Just to be yourself. Is there anything else that you want to say to the audience at all, or anybody here before we bid adieu for the night?
Hit me up for a collab. Always open to collab. I love it. So much fun. No, just thank you so much. Thank you so much, Miss Token, for interviewing me and for this series. It's been incredibly interesting to hear from everybody and hear their perspectives and hear them talk about their story. And I feel pretty honored that you would ask me on, and I look forward to your next one.
I am so glad that you came on here and shed a little bit of light on, for those of us that maybe haven't done music for a long time or are thinking about doing music, or maybe just started it and are, rethinking their journey. So I hope, if anything, it helps other people that might be in the same position. But yes, definitely shout out Raystanz.
That's glad to have met you, bro. That sounds like the relationship is ending the way you put it past
I've known you.
Likewise.
But,
Likewise.
For anybody, that will be tuned in our September series, then we might have to do a little Nikey Joe Show out in Georgia at a little get together that we will have when Rogue is coming to the UK, or coming from the UK. Rogue comes to the USA edition.
Rogue USA tour. Said Rogue's USA tour.
Yes, Rogue's USA tour coming soon. We will let y'all get back to your night, and we will see you guys again next Monday. We will be having another interview, and after that, I do have some different community interviews that will be lining up with some of our artists in the community that may not, be collabing with WCR. And I also have some local artists from Metro, Flint, and Detroit area lined up for some interviews. So those should be fun too. But everybody stay tuned, stay safe, and have a beautiful week. And like, follow, share, sub, WCR.
Love y'all.
Have a good night.
Good night.